Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name's David and this is a magic review. Today we're going to look at Jinxed from Peter Turner and Titanus Magic. Now, if you don't know who Peter Turner is, he's from West Yorkshire, England. He started really young in magic. I think he was like 5 years old. And then when he was about 15, he started doing mentalism, and he's really been doing mentalism professionally ever since then. He's published books, he's published videos. You've probably heard of Freeform Mentalism, Devious Realities, Isabella's Star, a whole bunch of others. Peter Turner is easily becoming world-renowned for his unique thinking and just some of the most exciting mentalist tricks in the world. This video compilation is released through Titanus Magic, and there are 7 performances on Jinxed, and they're all with strangers on the street, or they're in venues in Greece. And then he offers explanations for the effects back at Titanus Studios with Titanus' owner of Evangelis. The DVD is broken down so that you can play it all through entirely, or that you can watch the videos as individual tricks. If you choose to do the play all kind of version, you're going to see all of the prologue and all of the epilogue. And really, the explanations that follow each trick, they're more than just, well, this is how he did it. You know, this is not just here's a trick and here's how it's done kind of video. I mean, some of those kind of videos, when you watch them from magic houses, they're over in a couple minutes. This is really long, and it's because you're getting a lot more than just the technique and the secret. You're getting all the behind-the-scenes theory about Peter's craft and how he's arrived at his ideas. You're really getting behind-the-scenes discussions, and it's all things that a mentalist would want to know. Things like building confidence, different types of peaks, multiple outs, just being bold, being brave, you know, invisibly forcing an idea, taking something that's an old idea and then updating it, taking 2 ideas from 2 separate tricks and combining them together, trying to be versatile, mixing different principles, and a ton of extras. Just to give you a little bit of a sample, here's a clip from Jinxed.
Now bearing in mind, this totally is something that surrounds your life and only your life. Because I had a feeling that I'd meet you today. What did you write down?
Red rose.
So you committed to red rose?
Yes.
I'd like to leave you with this. 7, right? Is that right? 7? And you held up 5?
Yes.
7 and 5, okay, fantastic.
Okay, that's impressive. That's very impressive.
Would you like me to try guess the amount inside the box or the amount in your hand?
The ones in my hand.
6, right?
Okay, that's very, very, very spooky.
Thank you for your time, ladies.
Okay, so here's what you're going to get on the DVD. It is a cardboard sleeve, and you're going to get really beautiful artwork and graphics on the inside. And as you can see, it is 2 DVDs long. The first DVD has the prologue. It's about 15 minutes, and Peter and Evangelis talk on the Titanus set. Peter sets up his premise for the DVD and his appreciation for Theodore Animan, which really a lot of these effects are based on. And the thing with these tricks on Jinxed is you're basically learning how Peter presents these different classic tricks. So don't expect you're going to learn some revelational new method on these DVDs. For the most part, when I saw the secret part and saw how he arrived at his effects, I won't say I was disappointed, but I certainly didn't learn anything new. There's not any revelations here, okay? And I would argue that 90% of the magic that comes from these effects, and the reason why they look like magic, is Peter's presentation and his patter and his ability to work with strangers. That is really the magic, quote unquote, behind his effects. That is to say, you know, usually with these DVDs, you get excited and you purchase them and you look for the how-to, right? You're hoping that the how will help you. Peter isn't giving you new how, he's giving you his approach and his take on perhaps a lot of effects that many magicians have just cast aside and said, well, I can't do these. So for Peter, it's not about how he's doing it, but rather why he's doing it and how it relates back to the performance. So in all fairness, I bet some people will be disappointed that there aren't more of these earth-shattering revelations here, but I think if people are willing to really examine the content, of what Peter's trying to get across, this is really an argument more to revisit the books on your bookshelf and not to dismiss the classic effects because they seem to use an outdated element. You know, Peter strips all of that away and he asks the big question, why did this work then and how could it work now? What is the thing that made this magical? What's the thing behind the thing? And another thing you want to consider is, you know, as these tricks involve mentalism and mind reading, these effects are more geared to magicians who do walk around or the table hopper magician, and not for somebody who does a lot of magic for friends and family, okay? For instance, to read a family member or a friend's mind, they're not going to think it's that magical because you know them, right? For you to guess somebody's name or their astrological symbol or things like that, that's too easy for people you already know. So I'm going to say a lot of this magic is based on magicians who are performing magic for strangers, okay? So just a breakdown of some of the tricks. There's on DVD 1, a question and an answer. It's a hybrid from Practical Mental Effects where Peter divines a written answer that's sealed away in a stack of envelopes. And it's masterful in Peter's hand. He's combining a cold reading with a divining method using a secret most beginning mentalists already know. There's a really cool trick on here called Life Equation. I'm going to start doing it all the time. He uses a cell phone calculator and he guides the spectator through a series of special numbers to arrive at a personal number that the magician predicted. And again, it's a hybrid from 202 methods of forcing, and again, it's a very familiar method, and I think this trick is, I think it was even in my very first beginner's magic book from the 1950s. But just like the previous effect, you know, you're learning Peter's routine, and you're watching how a master crafts these classics for the modern age. There's an effect on here called Rosy Red. This is a slate prediction effect that requires an audience. It's a reworking of an effect from Practical Mental Effects, and admittedly, when I learned Peter's method for it, it was kind of a letdown. It's not an effect I would do, but what I loved was the explanation after the explanation. In a little video that follows, Peter covers a myriad of different equivoque and forcing techniques. On the second DVD, you're getting a really cool trick called Finger Finger. It's another trick that I'm going to start doing with people. It's an impromptu number guessing game, and it's at first it doesn't look like a trick, and Peter doesn't even really sell it as a trick, but it's kind of a way to build rapport with a spectator, and you know what? If it hits big. On the second DVD, there's also a cigarette divination, and then he has a spectator remove a random amount of cigarettes from a pack, and then the magician is able to discern how many cigarettes they took. Again, it's a variation from an effect originally published from the Jinxed, and it was done with matches. It's a wonderful foresight effect that anyone who does bar magic or cigarette magic will instantly adopt into their routine. In fact, Peter even gives you a rundown of how to do it without any props at all. There's an effect called Lock and Keys where Peter guesses a spectator's written cell phone unlock key from a series of different cards. And it's Peter's take on Animan's 7 keys to Baldpate and Henry Fisher's lock and keys trick. It's a trick using a cell phone, and you're adopting a method devised before telephones were ever invented. There's a slate and number where Peter performs this with 3 different spectators, and he divines numbers and pictures and birthdays, and it's probably a passed over effect from Practical Mental Effects, but Peter develops this really beautiful routine that you can do with a group of people, and it's easily a closer that would solidify you as a master. Then there's an end review that's about 5 minutes, and Peter just goes through just his philosophy on mentalism and a little bit more in presentation, and overall it's a really great compilation. My advice, buy the book Practical Mental Effects by Theodore Animan along with this DVD. It's only usually about $10 on Amazon, and go through the DVD and the book together. Peter references the book a lot, so it would probably be helpful if you had it as well. And also, if you're seriously considering buying this DVD, get out there and purchase it now. It's going to sell out. There's a limited number of these. They're not going to be reprinted ever again. It is about $180, and yeah, that's a steep price tag. But it's a steep price tag so that people aren't ripping it and putting it on the internet, and younger, immature magicians aren't revealing all the secrets. I think when you pay more for something, you realize the cost of it, and you realize how precious it is, and you don't expose it. And certainly, we don't want to expose Peter's effects. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, head down to your local magic store. Preferably, you want to go down to penguinmagic.com and purchase this before it's all gone. And if you'd like to learn any more about Peter Turner or Titanus, I would head over to Titanus' website and check it out. So that's it for this review. As always, recommend that you like this video just so other people can find it a little bit faster. You can also subscribe to our channel just to stay up to date on the latest in cards, card magic, and mentalism. You can also like our page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/magicorthodoxy. You can also follow us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/magicorthodoxy. Thanks. Bye.
2, 1, action. Yeah, that's magic.